Let me talk about follow-up. Follow-up. Okay, listen to the video, follow me on YouTube, follow me on Instagram, please, and tell your friends, tell your realtors and everybody else, no matter what state. But that's not why I did the video. I'm doing the video on follow-up. You got to bring a follow-up game if you want to take your business to the next level. Follow-up. Here's what happens. I'm the preacher. I've heard all kind of stories, but I'm a preacher in the real estate game. I've heard every question, everything. It could be every problem or whatever. I've heard it. But follow up, if you don't bring your A game with following up, you can prospect, but if you don't follow up, you're not going to maximize it. You're going to be wasting your time. Okay, you have to follow up. Here's one of the things that I do. I always like to keep it simple. Okay, this is what I do. Okay, now I'm driving a lot in the course of my day. I'm talking to agents. I'm doing a lot of things in the midst of my day. So what I do, I keep index cards and I keep a tablet. When somebody calls me and say something, let's say here's an example. Somebody called me and they want to do a rental. And I don't really do rentals that much. I don't do rentals, but I might give them to one of my agents. But even though I don't do rentals, I write it down. I follow up. Once I give it to the agent, on my follow-up, the next day I call and say, hey, did you call the rental client that I gave you? See, it's follow-up. I bring closure to it. I don't wait for you to call me or whatever. That's how I do on my transactions. That's how I do everything. When I'm talking to somebody, one of my clients said she just had her 40th anniversary. I write that down. So I am going to send her something. I follow up with that. Anytime somebody tells me something, I capture data and I follow up. If somebody calls me, again, because I take a lot of calls here, John calls me, if Leroy calls me, if Brenda calls me, Mary calls me, anybody calls me, I write their name on a piece of my notebook, because I carry a notebook with me, and I carry index cards with me, and I carry a plastic bag, and I put them all in there so I can make sure that I follow up. Because if I don't write it down, then I'm going to forget it. And so what happens is that I make sure that I follow up with it. I don't stop it. I follow up. You ever hear that saying, there's fortune in the follow-up? Follow-up is your key in real estate. I always follow up. I bring closure to everything. Like if I personally want a transaction, this is what I say, let me follow up. And I have a tight game with following up. And so I say, okay, I'm going to get 10 transactions out of here. And I stay in my mind and say, let me go get 3 transactions. And let me just do this right here for about a 2-week period. With my follow-up game, I got 3 transactions in the pipeline just from following up. And it don't have to be anybody. It can be somebody said something to me on social media. It can be somebody said something to me on a call. Even when my clients call me and I've closed the transaction, but I still need to help them, I write it down and I follow up with it. Follow up is the name of the game. Prospecting plus follow-up done consistently equals money in your pocket. Money in your pocket, money in your pocket, money in your pocket. And we want money in our pocket. We do, as a 6-figure realtor. That's why a lot of us get into business. But don't let that be the only thing you get into business. But you got to have a tight follow-up game. And that's what happens. I know one of my agents was prospecting on the phone, and a client, when she called the client again, and the client said, hey, I talked to you. He had to tell her, because she didn't follow up. You got to follow up. I was a master at it, and I love it. And I'm intentional. So follow up.